You know what's crazy? The Cowboys are sitting here with a slim chance at the playoffs, needing 3 straight wins while hoping Philly drops 3 games. Meanwhile, we've got contract decisions looming that could shape this team's future for years to come. And then there's the Christmas Day game against Washington that's got some serious scheduling challenges. But here's the thing nobody's really talking about. The stats we're seeing this season don't tell the whole story about what's actually happening on that field. What's up, Cowboys? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Cowboys. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about breaking down everything you need to know about the America's team. So, let me paint the picture of where we're at right now. The Cowboys are about to face the Chargers this Sunday, and honestly, this is one of those fundamentally sound, well-coached teams that's already locked into playoff mode. They know where they're going. Meanwhile, Dallas is sitting here needing everything to break perfect, win out, and pray Philadelphia stumbles 3 times. That's a tough spot to be in as a player, right? I've been thinking about what that Thursday practice week must feel like. You're grinding, putting in the work, and then Sunday comes around and Philadelphia plays before you do. By the time the Cowboys take the field, they might already know their season is over. That's brutal, man. You start the week with hope, with purpose, but once that reality sets in that Philly won their game, the momentum just crashes. You can feel it shift in the locker room. But here's what separates professionals from everyone else. You still gotta show up. You're still interviewing for next year, especially if you're a guy on the back end of that roster. Free agency is coming, and these last 3 games, they're your basically audition tape. It's like that old line, if you're not going to accomplish your main goal, at least make some noise on the way out. Go out there and show what you can do. And speaking of tough scheduling, let's talk about this Christmas situation because it's wild. The Cowboys play at home against the Chargers on Sunday. Then they've got to turn around and head to Washington for a Thursday game on Christmas Day. Now get this, Washington plays Philadelphia on Saturday, which means the Commanders get an extra day of rest compared to Dallas, and they don't even have to travel. That's a significant advantage right there. As a player, you're not just preparing for the Chargers this week. You've got to mentally and physically get ready for that Washington game too. And Christmas? Forget about it. Teams usually fly out Christmas Eve for those Christmas Day games, especially when it's a 1 o'clock kickoff. If you're going cross-country, some teams leave 2 days early, so your holiday basically gets pushed back almost a week because football comes first. That's the reality of this job. Your family understands it. They have to. They maneuver around your schedule, around the travel, around the games. My family always came into town for holidays, and they just adapted to whatever was happening with football. You keep the main thing the main thing. But man, who wants to get their butt whooped on Christmas? Nobody. So you go out there and put your best foot forward. Treat it like any other day, even though it's not. Now let me get into something interesting, the quarterback matchup between Justin Herbert and Dak Prescott. These are 2 highly paid guys who are well respected around this league. Herbert's got about 3,900 yards, 23 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions this season. Dak, he's sitting at 3,931 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 10 interceptions. Dak's about to cross that 4,000-yard mark this weekend. Here's my take. Dak is the bigger threat right now. When I look at the numbers he's producing, even though the defense isn't holding up their end, I know this guy's going to go out there and produce. If I'm a pass rusher preparing for game week, I'm more worried about Dak than Herbert, especially with Herbert dealing with that hurt hand. Dak has been part of the #1 ranked offense multiple times throughout his career. The Cowboys are #1 in total yards and #1 in passing this year. That's not a fluke. Meanwhile, Jim Harbaugh isn't about slinging the ball around. He wants to run it, play physical football. So you've got to give both quarterbacks credit for doing what their systems ask them to do. And that's the key point right there. Schemes matter. People don't realize how much the scheme dictates what we see in the stats. Justin Herbert was putting up huge numbers at Oregon in the Pac-12. He's got the physical tools, the arm talent. He's basically got the same skill set as Josh Allen. Body-wise, arm talent, all of it. But what Harbaugh asks him to do is different from what Dallas asks Dak to do. They don't want Herbert throwing for 400 yards every game. That's not the game plan. They're running the ball, controlling the clock, playing that physical brand of football. Dak, on the other hand, they're asking him to air it out. They've got weapons. They want to get the ball down the field, and he's doing exactly that. This reminds me of the Troy Aikman debates I used to have. People would say Troy never threw for a ton of touchdowns. You know what the most touchdowns Troy ever threw in a single year was? 23. But here's the thing, that's not what they asked him to do. They had Emmitt Smith back there becoming the NFL's all-time leading rusher. They were running the football, controlling games, and when they needed Troy to throw on 3rd down, he was a master at it. Stats don't tell the whole story. Troy was the winningest quarterback of the 90s. What he was about was winning football, not putting up fantasy numbers. It's hard to have prolific passing stats when you're handing the ball off to the guy who becomes the all-time leading rusher and played most of his career with you. The rules have changed, passing numbers have exploded, but does anyone really think guys with 50,000 passing yards were better quarterbacks than Troy? Of course not. Context matters. That's what I come back to all the time. What's the context? Justin Herbert's playing good football in a run-first system. Dak Prescott's playing really good football in an offense that revolves around him throwing it. And by the way, Dak leads the entire NFL in passing yards right now. The dude's been slinging it all year, yet he wasn't even in the top 5 for MVP consideration. That's crazy to me. But I get it, you've got to win. When you're not winning, people start talking about hollow stats. How many of your numbers came in garbage time when the game was out of reach? That's the kind of stuff that comes up. Now let's talk about someone who doesn't get enough attention, Javonte Williams. This man is about to be a free agent, and we need to have a serious conversation about bringing him back. Before the season, everyone was doubting the running game, but Javonte came in here and proved everyone wrong. He's got 1,213 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns this year. That's serious production. And here's what's impressive. He's only got 230 carries. He's averaging 4.8 yards per carry in 14 games. That puts him 7th in the league in attempts, but look at who's ahead of him. Jonathan Taylor, Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson, Derrick Henry. That's elite company. Out of those guys ahead of him in carries, only 4 have more yards. Taylor with 1,400, Cook with 1,400, Bijan with 1,300, and Derrick Henry with 1,300. Javonte's got more yards than Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey right now. Let that sink in. This dude came off a major injury that made Denver say he wasn't the same player anymore. He was a one-year prove-it deal for Dallas, and he's proven it big time. Plus, he's only 25 years old. You've got a young running back who's ascending, who does everything well, including blitz pickup. And trust me, you saw how important that was when Malik Davis had to step in and just couldn't hold up. Whatever evaluation the Cowboys had on Javonte in the preseason and training camp was crystal clear. He's been everything they hoped for and probably a little bit more. You absolutely have to get this man signed. But here's the problem. You've also got George Pickens and Brandon Aubrey heading to free agency. So if I'm prioritizing these 3 guys, I'm going kicker first. Brandon Aubrey has kept this team in games just with his foot alone. What he's been able to do is special, and you've got to lock that down immediately with a record-breaking contract. Then I'm looking at putting some kind of tag on George Pickens, franchise tag, transition tag, whatever it takes to keep him here while you negotiate. After that, you deal with the running back situation. The market for running backs right now isn't crazy, and yes, Javonte had a major injury in his past. That gives you negotiating room to work out a reasonable deal. The harsh reality is that running back is the most replaceable of those 3 positions. You can find guys late in the draft or through free agency. Dallas literally did that this past offseason with Javonte. But finding another Aubrey or another Pickens, that's a lot harder. When you can't pay everybody, you've got to make tough choices based on what's easiest to replace. And unfortunately for Javonte, that's running back. This Sunday against the Chargers is huge, not just for playoff hopes, but for evaluating what this team really is and what moves need to be made in the offseason. The stats might say one thing, but if you watch the games, you see the whole story. You see the effort, the schemes, the context behind every number. That's what matters. That's what tells you who this team really is and where they're headed next.